What is up, guys? Welcome back to part 2. This is going to be part 2 of the Paladins loadout, pretty much competitive loadout creator, just kind of discussion videos. If you guys are seeing this video, I'm assuming part 1 did decently well enough. If you are new and this is your first time seeing my channel, please subscribe and leave a like and share this video. It really helps me out. I'm going to get right into this just so we can get through as much as possible. There might be a part 3. This might be a 3-part series, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, just because there's a lot I want to talk about, and I seem to keep rambling on too much, which is, I guess, it's fine. That's the whole point of the series, but still. Fernando, legendary, mainly, I don't know, it kind of depends. I think all of his legendaries are pretty much viable. Aegis is more of like a point tank. I guess you can kind of get away with it being a point tank, but mainly I'd say Formidable and Scorch are going to be the only talents you run in with Fernando. If you want to run more of like a point tank, you're going to be running Formidable. If you're going to be running more of like an off tank that like chases down the back line of the healers, you're going to be running Scorch. Main cards, mainly that you're going to want to use. If you're running like a point tank build, you're going to want immovable object, increase your healing received by others. You're going to want that at a 5 like most of your times anyways. Last Stand, great card for being a point tank. Healing for 500 every second while your shield is up and you're below 40%. Really good card. And that actually goes with the Rejuve card really well. And Formidable, it pairs with those. What else? There's some other card. I think it has an HP card that I actually would run. Yeah, Cavalier, solid card. Brand ain't too bad of a card. As a filler card at least. Increasing your ammo of your flamethrower, always a good filler card. Hot Pursuit, always a good filler card. Safe Travel, also a good filler card. Mainly if you're point tank, you kind of need these first 2 cards, and then maybe some HP, and the last is kind of just filler. It kind of depends on what you want. If you're running Scorch, I'd actually go with Hot Pursuit at a 5. You're going to be running that at a 5. Last Stand, I wouldn't really need that. I actually just put Movable Object at a 5, and then you pretty much put filler as the rest of your loadout. That's kind of what you do as like an off tank Fernando. On to Furia. Furia really only has 2 loadouts. I'm going to tell you guys pretty much the best cards. She really doesn't have too much variation. Exterminate is probably one of the worst talents in the game. Never choose it. As for Cherish, at a 5, you're going to want Light of Dawn. You're going to put that at 5 just with Cherish, just because it works so well. And I think, yeah, Light Forge at a 5. Hitting Kindle Soul reduces the cooldown of Pyro Strike. You're going to want that as a 5. But instead of having it being able to heal people, you're going to have that as more of like a stun utility. Gives you a lot more utility on a Cherish build. Ammo, always great on a Cherish build. It kind of depends if you want. I'd actually put Burning Oath on here as well, just so you have a little bit of self-sustain. And pretty much maybe max HP. There's not really too much else. A lot of like the last 3 cards are usually this filler for Cherish. Now, if you're running Solar Blessing, probably her best talent currently, I'd actually put this down to a 1, and I'd actually put a different card onto this loadout. Which one is it? Increase the radius of Pyro Strike by 50%, just because it makes it so much easier to land your Solar Blessing. Mainly some type of variant of this. There's a lot of other filler cards, you really don't need this much, but some type of variant of this. You run this at like a 2 or 3, a little bit of self-sustain. If you want more shield, you can put more into the shield on your heal. But some type of some type of variant of this for Solar Blessing. Very straightforward. Furia really doesn't have too many like odd builds. You're gonna be running like the same 2 or 3 cards in most of your builds. On to Grok. Grok got like a bunch of changes. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. Grok right now is currently the worst healer in the game. There is no reason to use Grok whatsoever. I'm not even going to discuss a healer build just because it's not even worth using them. I may discuss like some cards you can use with the healer build, but if you're gonna be playing them, you're gonna be using Maelstrom. Either with like a Maelstrom, you're gonna be pretty much running with Arc of Lightning. You're gonna want that at a 5 if you're running Maelstrom. Conduit is a great filler card for a Maelstrom build. Lightning Rod, you're going to want that at a 3 or 4 or even a 5, depending on how much self-sustain you do want. What other one? Increase your generation of your ammo. That's always a good filler card for a Maelstrom deck. And either the Health Shield or like the last one's kind of just filler, if I'm being completely honest. Increase your ammo, regen speed. I think I have that on this build already. Oh no, I don't. That's actually a different card. I was thinking of this one. This year you probably wanted a generates something of your ammo. I'd probably put that at like a 3 most builds. This is some type of variant you'd want for like a Maelstrom build. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, but a lot of these cards work very well together. If you're running a healer, if you're running like some type of healer, which I don't know why you would, I really honestly don't even know what you would really run, just because I've only played Grok as a healer since he got reworked. His current patch like 3 or 4 times, and he's garbage. So, I don't know. Maybe Gale. I don't know. Increase health of healing totem. I don't know why you would ever do that. That's kind of a worthless card. Increase the deploy range of totem. I guess you'd probably want that at a 5. Maybe some movement speed. I don't know. Honestly, Healer Grok's one of the worst healers in the game, if not the worst healer. I'd say Sky is even a better healer than Grok currently. Not going to talk about it very much longer. We're going to move on to Grover. Grover currently, I'd say all of his talents are viable. Ferocity mainly on long line of sight maps like Frog Isle, Fish Market, stuff like that. I'd say either you're going to be running either Deep Roots or Random Blooming. There's really only like mostly like one loadout. I'd run mainly. It kind of just depends on what you want. If you want like movement speed, DR, stuff like that. For most of his loadouts, Verdant Expanse, you're going to want that at 5 like every time. Where's the other Roost cooldown with Blossom? You're going to want these 2 out of 5. Like most of your builds anyways. And I'd probably put like Fatalist at like a 3. And then your last 2 cards are going to be like filler. It kind of depends what you want. It really depends on what you want. If you want more like movement speed, if you want some DR, you can kind of switch these cards out. I'd say the most crucial card in every one of his loadouts is you need to have this max CDR card on his loadouts. This you can kind of get away with on smaller maps like Bright Marsh, where you're going to be kind of grouped up a lot, or stuff like what was it? Bazaar or stuff like that, where you're going to be constantly kind of grouped up. You really don't need as much radius. You can also run, like I said, you can run movement speed. If you want more of that, you can throw that at a 5 or a 4 in a lot of your builds. DR, reduce damage taken after using Blossom. That's great for self-sustaining and survivability, which you always want as a healer. Overall, Grover is just kind of pick and choose what you really want, mainly as for Grover. Kind of very straightforward currently, at least for loadout-wise. Onto Amani. Now I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I think Amani currently, there's really only one way you run her. Mana Rift, one of the worst talents in the game. You never choose that, ever. You can either run Pyro. It really doesn't matter what talent you pick for this loadout, or this main loadout, I guess. Pyro Main or Splitting Ice, either one. I think Splitting Ice just gives you a lot more chip damage. Elemental Shift, you're going to want this on a 5 on like almost all your loadouts, guys. It's so good. Being able to use both your fire and your ice stance, it gives you so much versatility over a lot of the other damage champs, and that's going to be one of the reasons why you do pick Amani over a lot of the other stuff currently. Which one? I forgot which one it was. Oh yeah, Frostfire Glide. You're gonna want this at like 3 or 4. Um, just because I think she has really good mobility. These 2 cards you're probably gonna want at like a 3 or 4 on most of your loadouts if you are playing Amani. Last 2 are kind of just up to you. It really depends on what you want. Personally, me, increase your movement speed while casting Inferno Cannon. I want this at like a 3 or 4 most of my loadouts, just because I think that's one of her most crucial abilities. It's kind of more of a surprise ability. If you have good mobility, it's a lot more difficult during that. It does a lot of damage too, and it's also a pierce, so you can kill multiple opponents at once. Last 2 cards usually is filler. I don't know. Heat Sink is a great filler card. Cooling Runes, great filler card, just because you're going to be swapping a lot between your stances. Also, another one is Ancient Duty if you want a little bit more health. Discipline is also a great filler card. She has a lot of good filler cards, but I think mainly you're going to be running these 2 cards that are either like a 4 or 5 or like a 3 or 4. Affinity and Pyrometric Momentum. Apart from that, not really too much else to say about Amani. It's overall very solid builds you can create with her. Inara. I'm not gonna say all of her talents currently are like useless, but Tremor is probably her least useful one. I'd say Mother Grace and Treacherous Ground are still her best talents. This loadout pretty much goes really good with these. Geomancer is a great card. What other one? Rolling Stones, great card. Sacred Ground, a really good card. Steadfast, because you're going to be a point tank, you're one of the bulkiest tanks in the game. Even adding more HP to that is absolutely great and just good for an overall beefy tank. What else? I mean, she really doesn't have that too many useful cards. A lot of these are just kind of filler. Increase the health of Impasse. I don't know why you would ever do that. A little bit of self-sustain while standing in Warrior's Field, I guess. If you're running Cripple build, that would work. But I'd actually run Rolling Stones at a 5 to get that 40% DR or CDR on elimination, and I'd actually run probably Sacred Ground at a 4 or 5 most cases. And the other cards are kind of just whatever you want really. Just swap out and swap around. She really doesn't have that many cards that are really useful. A lot of like healing cards, reload cards, I don't know, ammo cards. Kind of a very one-dimensional, at least for loadout wise, champion currently, which ain't a bad thing, just because her cards are still super solid. I'd say that something like a variant of this would be good for most of her talents and most of her builds. Onto Io, which I think is probably the most one-dimensional champion currently, at least loadout wise. You need to have one card in almost all your decks, which is going to be Moonwalk. You're going to need this at a 5 in all your decks, otherwise you will not be able to sustain a team. If you're planning to play a healer IO, if you have like 2 healers and you want to play more of like a passive IO, then you really don't need that card. But if you're going to be playing main healer, 1 support, 2 tank comp, like a standard comp, you're going to need Moonwalk at a 5 for every one of your loadouts currently, just because IO right now is kind of shitty, just because she really doesn't put out enough healing numbers, especially with COT 3. You're going to need that card. You're going to need, what other card? There's a couple cards that you kind of absolutely need to have. Sanctum of Faith, you're going to need that at a 5 in almost all your loadouts. Regenerate 5% Moonlight every 1 second you're not using Moonlight. What other one? Generate Moonlight with hitting with Light Bow. That's a crucial card you're going to need on most of your loadouts. What else? Self-Sustain is always a great card to have. Not really required, but it's great to have, especially if you're the only healer. Spirit Arrows, I guess, is a decent filler card. I probably put Broken DC on here. Um, a lot of these cards, I'd say these two first cards you have to have in almost every one of your loadouts. These last three cards are kind of, I guess, more filler cards. I'd probably put this at like maybe like a 2, and then give yourself a little bit more self-sustain. I don't know, you're kind of losing out a lot. I think what IO really suffers from currently is that you're forced to run 2 cards at a 5 in like every one of your loadouts, to the point where you're kind of sacrificing a lot of other stuff. You're sacrificing out on a lot of self-sustain. You're sacrificing a lot of Luna's deploy range. You're sacrificing a lot of CDR on Luna's deploy. Um, Spirito is a great card, but it's rarely decent as a filler card. Having ALI speed, Swift Arrows is also a good card, but you just don't have room for it currently. I think that's what she's really suffering from, at least loadout wise, just because she doesn't put out enough healing. She's forced to run 2 cards to at least keep up as a healer currently. Not that she isn't fun to play, but I think that's kind of fucking stupid. Hopefully they said they might buff her this next patch. Hopefully they do, because at least loadout wise, currently she's probably one of the worst champions in the game, at least for having like a diverse loadout. On to Genos. How far are we in? I'll probably do 3 more. Now I'll probably put this into a part 3, or let's go through the rest. Genos currently you're going to be using. Why are we on Grok? On a Genos. Luminary pretty much every time, unless you have like a flank that's really hard to lock down, like Holga or like a Maeve or something that your team really struggles with, and you really don't have anything else on your team to lock them down. That's the only time I'd really pick Power Coliseum, but this is going to be mainly for Luminary, which you're going to be choosing like 90% of the time if you're playing Genos. Astral Cycle, you're going to want that. Light Years, Retrograde, and the last 2 cards are kind of just filler, in my honest opinion, at least currently with Genos. I actually put Relativity on there just so you have a little bit of self-sustain. I don't know, the last kind of card is kind of up to you. It really just depends what you really want. DR during Stellar Window is a good filler card, but I'd say these 3 cards right here are probably going to have in like almost all of your Genos decks if you're going to be playing Genos as a solo healer. Increase the duration, you're probably going to want that at like a 3 or 4 most of your loadouts. Years, probably at a 4 or 5. Retrograde, you're going to want that at a 5 in like every one of your loadouts. Something similar to this currently with Genos, I think, would be a good loadout if you're using Genos. Very straightforward, kind of simple. Mainly going to be using Luminary, like I said. I'm not going to cover Power Coliseum, because I think it's a little bit more situational. On to Khan. Khan currently has only 1 viable talent, Vortex Grip. It's pretty much a no drawback talent. It's so good, there's no reason to pick any of his other talents. That 2-second stun is fucking groundbreaking broken. Absolutely broken, needs to be nerfed. Close and Personal, great filler card, good card to have. Bloodthirst, good filler card. What other one? Reduce your, or not this one. Reduced all cooldowns by 40%. You're gonna want that at 5. That's one of his best cards. And then Hope Guard, you're gonna want that at 5 most of your loads. Something like this. I don't know. Last 3 are kind of just filler. What you really want. Increased movement speed. You got a little bit more ammo. I don't know. It really depends on what you're looking for. I guess it really doesn't matter. I'd probably go with health over anything. But some variant of this, if you're playing Vortex Grip Con, I'd say these 2. The health card is so good just because if you have your shield up, you're gonna want the healing. That's when you're gonna be getting it most of the time. If you're backing out of a fight or trying to retreat, that's when you're gonna have your shield up. Really good card. A lot of these are like filler, like I said. Probably is better filler cards if you're running like a Vortex Script build, but something like this, mainly for Con. On to Kinessa. Kinessa right now, I'd say probably you're going to be picking Steady Game for most of your builds. Unless you're insanely good at hitting like headshots, then I'd say steady aim, just a lot more value for a talent and a lot more consistent than headshot damage currently. Amplitude, great card. Prodigy, good card. Quick Scope, great card. True Grit, good card. And Open Season. Now, pretty much, I think currently, Open Season you'd have at a 4 that way, so if you're hitting fully charged shots, you don't have to ever reload. Which I wouldn't say is really broken, but I think it's really cool. True Grit at like probably a good filler card. Quick Scope, I think Quick Scope's usually a 4 or 5 in most builds, at least currently, just because I think it allows you to capitalize on a lot more kills. If you're constantly having to scope in and out, it's not really like Strix where you have that auto scope. It takes a lot of time to scope in and out on if you don't have this card at like a 5 or a 4. That you'd be missing out on kills. Every second counts when you're a sniper. I think being able to quickly scope in and out and be consistent on kills, I think really helps. At least for me personally, I don't know if a lot of people, it kind of depends on your playstyle mainly. Amplitude, I put that at a 2 or 3. Prodigy, really good filler card, 1 or 2. True Grit for a little bit of self-sustain. If you want that 500, a 500 heal on every fully charged shot is pretty good, especially if you're constantly getting poked out with poke damage. Something of like this, I'd say. There's a few other cards that you can probably use. Beam Me Up ain't really too bad. Octopressor ain't too bad of a filler card. Restore Transporter, that ain't really too bad just because of the cauterized nerfs. What else? Bob and Weave, 135% movement speed for 2 seconds. A lot of movement speed. I'd see that being a lot more useful on like a reposition type loadout though. Not really for a steady aim or eagle eye loadout. Something of this nature is what I'm trying to say, for at least for Kinetic currently. On to Koga. This will probably be the last one I talk about. Then I'll probably finish the last part out and then like part 3. Currently, at least Koga, Dragon Fangs. If you want to lose, I think the only way you're going to be running Dragon Fangs currently is with a Genos pocket, and you have to have a hard pocket from Genos to at least do anything with Dragon Fangs. I think they nerfed it way too much. Blood Reaper usually used this unless you're going against like a 3-tank comp. That's the only way I'd ever use Blood Reaper. Adrenaline Junkie is still his best talent, and the only talent you're going to be running on Koga. I know, it kind of depends on what you want to run. They really nerfed the dash type playstyle where you dash, get the heal, and get the ammo back. I think right now, currently, his best playstyle is with SMGs and just going for self-sustain and ammo regen. Something kind of like this. I don't know. Something like this, I'd say, is currently probably the best build for him, just because I think they nerfed his other playstyle, which was his dash, fire, whatever. Get energy back and just keep going at it. This is more of an SMG build. You're not going to be using your dashes unless you need like an escape. Trigger happy they nerfed 25%. I think that even like a 3 or 4 is still good for that card. Memento they nerfed way too much. It's just going to be solely a filler card now, in my honest opinion, on most builds. If you're running an SMG build, I'd put these both at either 4 or 5. If you're running it like a pure SMG build, what I think is currently his best option. Harsh Training filler card, something like this, and give or take a couple different cards depending on your playstyle and what you really want. Other thing I'd only run is if you still want to run like a Shadow Step build, I guess you can run Tenacious. Surprise, which they nerfed the shit out of. I don't know. I'd actually probably put Something to Prove. If you're running like a dash build, I actually put this at like a 4 or 5 as like an escape plan, just because you really don't have as much self-sustain now and not as much ammo regen. I don't know, something like this. If you want to run like a dash build, something like this. Maybe trigger happy if you want to switch that out with something else. I don't know really what else you would switch it out with, but it's kind of up to you. On to Lex, which I'm going to talk about. Lex is probably one of the worst, probably like the bottom tier flanks at least currently. I don't know. You can pretty much choose all of his talents. I don't know. I'd say they're all on the same level. Maybe Death Hasten's a little bit better. It's probably his best talent in my honest opinion, just because of the sheer damage it does. I'm not really going to be talking about Lex very much, just because I think it's kind of just what you want, honestly. He has a lot of decent cards. It's kind of just what you really want. I'll also put down some decent cards that I usually run in some of my loadouts. Hunted is a good card. Increase the distance of combat slide, not a bad card. Keen Sight ain't too bad of a card. Justice Served, good card. Warrants Out ain't too bad of a filler card. If you want some reload speed, that's a decent card. He has a lot of solid cards. Like I said, it's kind of just what you really want. I wouldn't really say there's even like a bad Lex loadout currently. It just depends on what you want, give or take, and how many points you want to put into something. At least currently with Lex. I'm not really going to talk about him very much further, just because I think that's currently where he is. Leon. Mainly still Eminence. That's what you're going to be running. It just has so much value. Heraldry, you're going to want that at 5 most times. And Inheritance, you're still going to want these 2 cards at a 5 in like almost all your loadouts. Leon has not really changed very much. The only thing I would actually switch out, and maybe with Heraldry, it would be Noble Crest. Or not Noble Crest. Present Arms, if you run that at a 5 instead. If you want healing over CDR on your presence, that's the only thing I'd switch out at a 5. Apart from that, it's kind of just filler cards. Give or choose what you really want. Swift Jade, good filler card. Royal Seal, good filler card. And Shining Topaz, good filler card. What else you really have? I don't know, increase ammo, I guess if you want a little bit more ammo. Increase health. Increase travel distance of grace. Some movement speed. I don't know, it's kind of really what you want, personally. But I'd say these 2 cards, probably the 2 best cards you're going to be running in most of your loadouts, give or take 1 card, which is Present Arms, if you want self-sustain or CDR on your presence. Not really too much has changed with Leon over like the patches. Still super simple, super straightforward. Yeah, not really too much else to say. I'm going to wrap the video up here. Next video is going to be part 3. I'm going to go try to get through the rest of the champions. Probably going to be like a half-hour video again, but if you guys enjoy, leave a like, share the video, and if you are new, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in a future video.